All of us would like to be a leader. A leader is someone who is at the forefront, an individual that is breaking new ground, delivering new possibilities, experiencing the very best that any given moment can offer, because a leader is always the person who meets those possibilities before anyone else. So define it as you will. We would all like to be more of a leader in life than we are. There are things about leadership that are not commonly understood and that I think we need to speak about in order to help each and every one of us better assume that position in our lives where we are the one who is experiencing the moment as it is and with all that it brings, if we can be present to its possibilities. So let's start with this idea. And of course, we can see this in business, in industry, for instance. The leader, the one who drives the company, the one who is at the forefront, is the man or woman who isn't just helping the company grow to the greatest of its capacity. It's an individual who himself or herself is growing. Because you see, you can't separate what comes in our lives to us, what we manifest, from what we are. So in order for our company to grow, for instance, we have to grow as an individual. Now let's change this model, because I'm not so interested in what it means to succeed in commerce as I am in what it means to succeed in exploring and actualizing all the possibilities of our present consciousness. To be a leader in your own life essentially means that you have to be at the very forefront of the moment itself. And so that this doesn't sound complicated, what it means to be at the forefront of the moment means that you are as present as you can be, and that you are not listening to your own thoughts and feelings define for you what it means to be in that moment. Because the moment that you're listening to yourself explain to yourself what it is that you're going through, you are no longer at the leading edge of that moment. Rather, your attention is turned backwards, around towards the past, because you are participating with what your mind has made of that moment, what it's explaining to you about who you are and what you're going through. Now, as an example of this, because it's critical that we make ourselves as clear as possible, let's say there's a moment where you receive some frightening news, something disturbs you, something you have to do that you don't want to do. Now, usually in moments like that, anxiety appears. When we are following these negative states, instead of being the one leading the moment, who is able to leave behind these improper, painful relationships born of resistance, in those moments when we're following, we are passive to anxiety. Not leading, but passive. How? Why? Because who and what we are is being defined by a host of thoughts and feelings that are appearing within us as a result of what our mind has considered just the moment before. And it is the influx of those thoughts and feelings that we are passive to that render us powerless. No leader is ever powerless. Why? Because he or she is no longer defined by these dark thoughts and feelings. Instead, they are moving forward into an interior relationship with the world where these negative states don't have that authority over them. So if being passive to anxiety or fear is part of what it means to be following the wrong parts of ourselves, not on the leading edge, but instead buried behind these things, then in order to be a leader, we must learn what it means to be actively patient. Think of this. Instead of passively anxious, we become actively patient in the observation of that which is trying to drive us through the old familiar cycles. Stepping out into the forefront of the moment, being as present as one can be, we will be present to all of these interior thoughts and feelings that formerly moved in and then tried to move us in the direction of our own past. Being fully present places us in the only place where it's possible to be a true leader, because we are no longer the follower of who and what we have been. Consider these things as deeply as you can. Learn what it means to be passive to these anxious thoughts and feelings. Suffer their presence consciously in yourself. If you'll do that, you will be active towards the parts of you that understand now is the time to be patient. Now is the time to possess myself, because in doing so, I stand at the leading edge of all my own possibilities.